Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about why the Houston Texans defense will be scary this season. I feel like the Houston Texans are one of the most underrated teams going into the 2023 season. They have upgraded on almost everything that they struggled position-wise last year. Quarterback, CJ Stroud, wide receiver, they've added in Robert Woods, Noah Brown, drafted Xavier Hutchinson and Tank Dell. John Mechie III, who was a second-round pick in 2022, is also returning from leukemia. Tight end, they added in Dalton Schultz, who is a stud from Dallas. They upgraded the offensive line, drafted Juice Scruggs in the second round. They traded for Shaq Mason, longtime veteran. He's a really good player. Added in some other guys like Michael Dieter, George Fant. This offensive line has improved, which was a problem last year. This defense has improved. They added in Will Anderson Jr. in the draft. He's going to be a stud. A fully healthy Jonathan Grenard, Sheldon Rankings, who's a stud, Christian Harris going into his second year. He's improved. Added in Denzel Perryman, multiple time Pro Bowler. Who else? Who else am I missing? You added in Jimmy Ward, who has just been balling out throughout camp. You have second-year guys like Derek Stingley Jr., who should be healthy this season, and Jalen Petrie in the secondary. You added in Hassan Rigaway. Jacob Martin has returned. Corey Littleton. You drafted Henry Toto in the fourth round. You added in Shaquille Griffin to the secondary. You also have Desmond King at corner. This Texans defense, I mean, that's not even it. I mean, you still have Thomas Booker, Chase Winovich, Garrett Wallow. This Tavier Thomas. This Texans defense with D'Amico Ryans leading this defense is, I feel like, one of the most underrated defenses in the NFL. And they got a really, really good defense. I mean, a really, really good defense. I mean, their secondary is loaded. Derek Stingley Jr. And Steven Nelson at the corner. And then you also have Desmond King the second and Shaquille Griffin as backups. Safety, you have Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward, who have been studs in training camp so far. You also have MJ Stewart and Eric Murray as backups, really solid. Those were two guys who were basically kind of like starters last year. I mean, Eric Murray was starting next to Jalen Petrie last year. So those guys were more like, I mean, Eric Murray was a starter last year. MJ Stewart started at times for the Texans last year. So now those are our backups. I mean, the linebacker group has improved. The defensive line has improved with adding in Will Anderson Jr. and Sheldon Rankings and Hassan Ridgeway. This defense has improved, and they have a great, they've. I mean, I feel like one of the biggest things that's going to be about this defense is, D'Amico Ryans running these guys, running this group. I feel like the Texans are one of the most underrated defenses in the NFL. I think they're a top 3, top 5 underrated defense in the NFL, and I think by the end of the season, if guys like Derek Stingley Jr., Jalen Petrie, Christian Harris, Jimmy Ward, Will Anderson Jr., and a couple other guys have the seasons like I think they will, I think the Houston Texans could become a top 10, top 12 defense in the NFL. They have a scary defense with it, just basically stacked all over the place on defense. And not only that, but they have an unbelievable defensive coach running the defense, and D'Amico Ryans. He runs this group unbelievable. He's a great leader. And he's a great defensive coach, and I think he's running with this defense. He's calling the plays on defense. He is going to be a stud as a coach for this Houston Texans 2023 defense. I think this Texans defense is one of the most underrated defenses in the NFL. I think they'll have a great year. They were showing some good numbers last year. They were I think 16th in takeaways, and then they also were or maybe they were top 5 in takeaway. I think they might have been top 5, top 7 in takeaways, and then they were 16th in sacks. This Texans defense wasn't too bad last year. They were 6th or 7th in takeaways, and then 16th in sacks. This Texans defense wasn't that bad. The only problems were they gave up a lot of points, and the run defense was terrible. Same kind of thing with the pass defense, but I mean, there were some times when they would be solid, but the takeaways were high. The sacks were high last year for the Texans defense. Now they have improved. They've added in talent at this defense. I think this Houston Texans defense is way improved with adding in depth, to the defense, like Will Anderson Jr., Sheldon Rankings, Denzel Perryman, Jimmy Ward, Hassan Ridgeway, Corey Littleton, Henry To'oTo'o, Shaquille Griffin, Jacob Martin, if I didn't already mention him, and D'Amico Ryans as the head coach. This Houston Texans defense will be unbelievable in 2023. I think they'll be great at takeaways, and I think they'll be way better at, stopping the run game and pass game than they were last year. I'm not saying they're going to be great at it, but I think I think the pass defense will actually be really good because I think the secondary is very underrated. You have Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley Jr. going in their second years. Those guys are studs. You have two veterans who have been unbelievable throughout training camp and have had great careers in Jimmy Ward and Steven Nelson. I think this Texans secondary is going to be really good. I think the defensive line and the linebackers aren't going to be too bad either. And then D'Amico Ryans is the head coach. This Texans defense is really underrated, and they're really good, and they're actually kind of scary too. And I think the Texans defense is going to surprise a lot of people in the 2023 season. Use your thoughts, Texans fans. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Texans.